Hello, everybody. Namaste. So glad you decided to take some time for yourself whenever it is you're doing this. I've got my mat all ready to go behind me. I'm also going to be utilizing blocks for some of the moves that we're going to do today. And just as a reminder, you don't have to use blocks. Anytime I'm using it, you can just feel free to bring your hands to the floor instead. Or any sturdy object about this size can be just fine as a substitute. So really the only purpose is to bring the floor a little closer to us. That's what a block does. So that being said, let's get started. And we are going to start in a child's pose today. So child's pose looks like knees coming wide. So they might even come a bit or almost as wide as your mat. Comfortable distance, big toes come together, so our legs are making a triangle shape behind us. And then from there, we can start to sit back toward the heels. So just depending on our range of motion, we might be able to sit all the way on the heels. Or perhaps our bum is slightly up in the air, that's totally fine. We just want to relax in that direction. So I'm going to go ahead and relax my hips down. And then from there, we can start to walk our hands out in front of us. Now, this is where the block might be nice. So if you can relax your head to the earth, you can go ahead and do that. But again, especially if our hips are up higher, we might need a little support. And so feeling free to use a block and allowing our forehead to rest. Just on that block underneath us. Should be a somewhat, hopefully, comfortable position. Shouldn't be working our muscles too hard here. Arms can relax. Chest and belly can start to soften and relax down as well. And let's just start to find our breath in this child's pose. So taking a big breath in through the nose. Maybe a sigh out the mouth this first couple rounds. Feeling free to make some sound, maybe taking a couple more like that. Letting some tension go with this big sigh. Maybe anything that's happened already today, anything that happens to be in your mind, just kind of brushing it lovingly aside. Just so we can really do our best to be present with this little bit of time we've carved out for ourselves. And knowing that we can pick back up anything at all it is we've put aside. It'll be there waiting for us, and we'll be better able to handle it by really taking time to nourish ourselves. So let's start to find just a regular deep breath if we haven't already. In through the nose, out through the nose ideally. And I'll invite you to start to rock the forehead side to side. So whether it's on the floor or on a block or a book or whatever it is you're using, just kind of massaging through the forehead by gently turning our head one way and then the other. Staying with that rhythmic breath. Ideally, this entire time, we want to maintain that connection to the slow, steady inhale, drawing it deep down into our belly. And then slow, steady exhales as well. And when we feel like we've finished up that little massage, we can start to press into our palms and lift the hips. So rising up. Moving our block out in front of us, out of the way, so that we can start to find our table shape. So I'm going to bring my palms under my shoulders, knees under hips. We talked in the past about imagining our feet to be a rectangle, and I'm going to, as funny as it might sound, invite us to think of our palms as squares right now, simply so we can bring attention to what the four corners of that square might be, rooting down through those four corners. Or another way to think of it is like every bottom knuckle, like the one that's kind of at the top of your palm where your finger meets it, really pressing through each of these knuckles. We're going to need that action even more a little bit later so we can feel it out in our table pose. So yeah, our palms are rooting under our shoulders. Knees are about hips width apart, directly under the knees. Or the hips, excuse me. And from there, let's start to move around a little bit. So let's take some cats and cows. Keeping a soft bend in the elbows, trying not to press too hard so that they lock up. Let's inhale, lift the chin, lift the tailbone, drop the belly for our cow pose. That's our in-breath. And then exhale, we're just going to opposite. So rounding through the spine as we bring our chin to our chest, face toward our hips, rounding through the whole spine. And then we'll flow like that on our own. Inhale again to drop the belly, look up, squeezing shoulder blades together as tailbone lifts. And then exhale, switching sides, rounding through the back. Cat pose, thinking like a scared, like a scared cat, Halloween cat with that high arch. Yeah, so I'll invite you just to take a few more on your own, just kind of feeling your own body today, noticing where we might have any extra tension, anything that feels a little tight or sticky, just sending some good, nourishing breath to any of those places. And we might start to set it free even more. Perhaps we start to shake the hips side to side, moving head in the opposite direction. Sometimes that feels really nice. And I even like to draw circles with my hips and my head. So kind of, like drawing a circle with my tailbone, if you will, one direction. Head and neck just free to move any way that feels good. Switching directions of the circles. We're really just loosening up our whole body here. We're starting to wake up the core, those abdominal muscles, and also our back muscles. Sometimes we forget that the core wraps around the back. It's our entire middle body, front and back. So taking just maybe 3 to 5 more breaths to finish up what it is you're working on. Coming to a place that feels balanced. Yeah, wonderful. And then we're going to come into a twist from here. So we might once again take that block. Oh, and I'll just remind you too that the block has different heights, right? So this is like flat. This will be the sturdiest form of support and also the lowest. If we find that we need a little more height, we can always come onto that more narrow edge of the block to get a little bit more lift. This way's still pretty steady. I don't know if you'd want to go like the tall way. I feel like that might be a little wobbly, but again, you feel it out for yourself with whatever height it is you want to play with, okay? So, or of course you don't need the block, but I'm going to demonstrate with one, so I'm going to take mine flat. Maybe like a little bit closer to center, so under the chest, and we're going to bring that left palm on top of the block as we inhale, right arm up to the ceiling. So we're taking a twist, and again, sometimes it feels good to come a little higher. I think that middle height feels pretty nice as well. Finding some big deep breaths, maybe circling around through that wrist. We want to spin our chest to the sky, following with our gaze. So whenever I say gaze, that just means where we're looking. Yeah, lovely. And then we can take one more inhale, maybe spin the chest up a little bit more. Exhale, release it all the way down. Nice job. Wonderful. So we can remove that block, come to that table, maybe take a little transitional cat-cow, just a couple times, arching and rounding through that spine. Yeah, and then from here, let's go ahead and straighten out that right leg. So we're going to extend the right leg. Toes can come to the floor behind us. And then from there, let's reach that left arm straight out in front of us from our shoulder, thumb facing the ceiling. So we're making a nice long line from the tips of our left fingers to the tips of our right toes. Chest is lifting, looking forward. Drawing that belly button in and up. We should feel our core working here, so belly muscles definitely engaged and turned on. And if we need a little bit more, or we feel like we can intensify a little bit, or we want to, we might see what it's like to lift that back foot. Spinal balance this is. So if you're noticing your balance is a little wobbly, that is exactly where we should be. Find that breath, maybe find a smile, just a soft smile to stretch the face. I'm not suggesting you need to be happy in this position, but it can't hurt. One more big inhale, maybe lifting up a tiny bit more. Nice job. And then we can exhale, release it down. Maybe again taking a little swish or sway with the hips. We can even go ahead and sit on the sit bones and take a child's pose for a moment. Catch the breath. Maybe feeling, I don't know, something stirring up within us already, a little more energy perhaps. Feeling a little more alive. Maybe a little bit more connected to how it is we're feeling today. Yeah, beautiful. Next breath in, whenever you're ready to join us again, let's rise back up to that home base, that tabletop. And we're just gonna take that on the other side. So if you are wanting to use that block, we'll once again take it in place of that right palm, maybe slightly closer to center than out to the side this time. Just gives us a little more room to inhale that left arm to the sky. So you'll notice when I come onto that higher height, I'm able to rotate through my chest a little bit more. That's what we're looking to do. Get a nice rotation in the upper back, shoulder blade area, turn through the face, maybe again circle that wrist. Riding the breath. Enjoying all of this beautiful opening. We do so much tightening up in the shoulder area, driving, sitting at a computer, just stress, you know. So this is a really nice way to undo some of that. Let's take one more big breath in. And then exhale, release that palm back down. Wonderful. So home base, tabletop, tuning into those knuckles, finding our alignment. And then this time we're going to extend that left leg straight behind us. So we can start with the toes tucked. Yeah, wonderful. Drawing that strong core in. And then seeing if we can extend that right arm. Again, thumb faces towards the ceiling. Our gaze is lifted, our chest is lifted. We're light as possible in that left palm. So doing our best not to dump all the weight into our joints, but really lifting from the core. Find that breath. It's going to give us that fuel. We need that energy to stick it out. Maybe we lift the back toes. Challenge our balance a little bit more, maybe just for a second. Then we put them back down. This is how we get stronger, guys. Got to push that edge. Find that place that's pretty uncomfortable, but we can breathe through it. We can smile through it. Amazing job. How about one more big inhale stretch? And then exhale, release it down. Incredible work. Yeah, anything you feel like you need to kind of flush that out, go ahead and take it. Maybe we sit back on our heels for a moment. Actually, let's all, if we can, find a kneeling position. I'm going to turn just so I can face you. And if kneeling is tough on the knees, I know that can be tender. Feel free to take a cross-legged position. That's just fine. Yeah, if we can find kneeling, let's do it. And let's just stretch our wrists a little bit. So I like to take my fingertips facing each other. Back of the hands come onto the lap. And I'm just going to gently press and walk my hands up my thighs. So just kind of getting some gentle flexion in the wrists, and then we can do the opposite. We can turn our palms down, fingertips facing each other. Yeah, and just kind of gently press into the palms, the fingers, to stretch the wrists. Yeah, and I might suggest we do it one more time. Coming to the backs of the hands. Bonus, this is a nice little massage for the fronts of the thighs too. And we can, flip the palms down. Walk them back. Yeah, and then let's take our hands out in front of us and make some claws. Beautiful. And then with our claws, just starting to make some circles. So I get nice little cracks in the wrist. That's okay if that happens to you too, as long as it's, not super painful. We can switch directions. Some of us might prefer to interlace the hands and make some wrist circles this way. Yeah, and then one more little wrist stretch, because for our last big move, we are going to need open wrists as much as possible, warmed up wrists, I should say. So stretching our arm out in front of us as if you were going to give me a high five, and then gently pulling the fingertips back with our other hand. So heel of the hand pressing forward. And then we can flip our fingertips down and then gently, once again, pull fingertips toward our body. Cool, and then the other side, big high five with that right arm. Pulling fingertips back. Yeah, opposite. All right, guys, how about a little shake out? The next pose, we're going to take some time in to feel, to start, and then we'll move through it a couple of times, is our downward facing dog. So definitely a very important, common yoga pose. So I love to use blocks for down dog. I think it feels really good. So I'm going to take my blocks, both of them this time. Top of my mat, about, shoulders width apart. Try with the flat side. I think the second highest is totally safe and fine too for most of us. You can feel it out for yourself if you are using blocks at home. So we'll find the height and then we'll start to, again, about shoulders width apart, press into those palms. So it's almost like our table shape, but we've got our palms on blocks. Tuck toes behind us, and to come from table to down dog, all we need to do is press into the four corners of those palms, start to engage the core and lift the knees off the mat. Yeah, rising all the way up until we can press our weight back toward our hips, straighten through the legs as much as possible, tailbone to the sky. So yeah, down dog is basically like an upside down V we want to make with our body. So yeah, we want to, again, use the core strength to stay light and lifted. Balance of weight is equal between the arms and the legs. Find the breath. Head is just kind of dangling between the biceps. We might shake the head a little bit, yes and no, to release any tension in the neck. Yeah, and then heels ideally are reaching toward the floor, but as you can see, mine don't touch. Totally fine. Soft bend in the knees is wonderful if that feels better for your body. Let's take one big breath in. Exhale, gently start to bend the knees lower down. Amazing. Woo! Maybe shake it out a little bit. Believe it or not, down dog is considered a rest position in yoga. And I remember the first time I heard that, I said, excuse me? Because it feels like a lot of work when it's new. But just know that as you build up your strength and endurance, eventually, with some time, you might find down dog rather restful. So I'm just going to plant that seed. But yes, catch your breath, shake it out, do whatever you need to do. Let's try that again when you're ready. So bringing palms to those blocks, or again, to the floor, that's totally fine. And yeah, we'll start to press into those palms. Tuck the toes, lift the knees, hips to the sky, tilting our pelvis, our tailbone up to the ceiling. And this time, I'll invite us to bend the left knee as we relax our right heel, probably a little bit closer to the floor. Amazing. And then let's switch, bending into the right knee now, releasing and relaxing that left heel to the floor. And then we can shift side to side. We can bend into one knee at a time. They call this walking the dog. It's a nice way to sort of, sweet talk those hamstrings open. Yeah, awesome. Pressing, again, the weight back, pressing into those palms to release the shoulders away from the ears. How about one more big breath in? Exhale, release it down. Amazing, guys. Good work. Let's shake it out for a hot second. Again, catch our breath. All right. Now, last little section of class today, we are going to see what it feels like to transition from our down dog to both a forward fold and also to a lunge position, which we've done in the past. So you're familiar with those parts. And now we just get to get a sense of how these poses kind of fit together when you are doing more of a longer flow. So when you're ready, go ahead and find your position. Another time, setting up for that down dog. Yeah, and we will start to once again press into the palms, lift the hips. Stay with that breath. Amazing. So on an inhale, we can rise onto the balls of the feet, lift our hips a little bit, and then see if you can just start to walk it forward, one step at a time. Or maybe we just take a couple big steps all the way up so that our feet meet our hands. Yeah, and we're in that forward fold, and our blocks are right here. So again, we might rest our palms on one in front of our toes. We can dangle in this forward fold. Maybe take a little sway. We can also grab the ankles and start to pull our upper body a little closer to the floor, or hug ourselves in closer to those legs. Yeah, beautiful. Let's roll up to standing for a moment. So soften through the knees, pressing through those feet. Again, the four corners of the rectangle now, right? Those feet rolling up bone by bone. We stack to that strong, beautiful mountain pose. Palms face forward. My head's cut off, but that's okay. Let's inhale, circle those arms up to the sky. Exhale, hands to prayer at heart center. It's okay that you can't see me. Just doing your best, listening to my cues. Because we're going to come back down in just a moment. Let's inhale, stretch those arms up to the sky. And then exhale, draw that prayer down through the midline as we hinge at the hips. Fold all the way forward, releasing those palms to the blocks once again. All right, and we're just gonna come back to down dog the way we came in. So again, it can be a couple little steps, 1 foot at a time, or maybe we just take a big step back with the left, big step back with the right, stretching hips to the sky, down dog. We made it all the way back to home base. Good work. One more inhale. Exhale, release it down, tabletop. Incredible work, y'all. Yeah, whatever it is you need to relax any muscles that are getting tired from being worked so wonderfully, to catch the breath. We just have one more little exercise to practice. So you guys are doing amazing. Stick with me. We're so close. And just know that if this is really challenging, that's okay. For most people it is in the beginning. And just know that every time we show up and practice, our bodies will start to remember these positions and it'll get more comfortable and easier to stay in. So you're doing great. Last little blast, okay? We got this. Call on that breath. Bringing palms to those blocks if we're using them. And stretching up to that beautiful down dog. Amazing. All right, are you ready? We're going to just see about maybe lifting that left leg to the sky. One-legged down dog, holy moly, and it might just be a little bit. That's okay. Really testing the balance here. And then see if we can maybe on an exhale, bend that knee that was lifted. And again, a couple steps might be necessary, or one big giant whoa, to step that foot up between the hands. Sound effects helps, by the way. So if you need to make some ninja sounds, go ahead. Yeah, and then let's relax that right knee down to the mat. Amazing job, guys. Inhale, left arm to the sky. Finding that twist once again, but this time in our lunge. We might circle that wrist, or sometimes I like to do a whole big circle with that arm. Really gets into the shoulder socket really nicely. Yeah, beautiful. One more inhale. Spin the chest open, heart open. Exhale, hands frame the foot. And we'll inhale, both arms lift to the sky. Grounded crescent pose. Ooh, I'm losing my balance. Yes, zipping up the front of the body from our pelvis to our rib cage. Relaxing shoulders away from the ears. One more big breath in. And then exhale, diving down, releasing palms to those blocks. We can tuck those back toes. Start to lift the back knee. And then see once again, maybe we can swim or step that leg back to our down dog. Incredible work, guys. Let's keep powering through. If you need a break, go ahead and take it. But last little bit of work, we got this. Inhale, right leg to the sky. Maybe a little, maybe a lot. Exhale, we can step it through between the hands, however many steps we need to get there. And you can even use your hand to help step that foot up. Amazing. Finding that lunge, lift through the chest. Gently relax your left knee down to the earth. Find our nice low lunge, checking out that front knee, making sure it's over the ankle, not jutting out in front of the ankle too much. That's going to be a little more work for the joint, for that knee joint. So Finding that stack, and then let's inhale right onto the sky. Same options, circle the wrist, or again, I love a whole arm circle. One more big breath in, maybe twisting open a millimeter more, and then exhale, we can release it down. Squeezing inner thighs together as we engage the core, start to rise up, lifting through the torso, arms float up overhead, gaze following the fingertips if possible, or looking straight ahead. If our balance is being challenged, we can find something that's not moving in front of us. One more big breath in, and exhale, releasing palms down. Got this. Tuck those back toes, lift the knee, and see, maybe we can step it back, downward facing dog. Incredible. One big breath in, sigh out the mouth. Last inhale. Exhale, gently lower those knees down. Incredible work, you guys. Go ahead and cross at the ankles. Come to seated position. You did so amazing. A lot of work. So let's just find a nice easy seat. We can rest our palms on our knees. Start to slow it down, catch the breath. Just checking in for a moment, noticing how you feel after having challenged your body, connected to breath. Such good work that we did. Let's just start to unwind a little bit by taking the left fingertips out to the left. Right arm can come up and overhead. It's a nice little side bend. Equally as important to take some time to slow down and rest, especially when we're working really hard. How about one more inhale? As we exhale, go ahead and let that lifted hand come to the left knee. Left hand comes behind our low back, and we'll just start to spin to the left, gazing over your back shoulder. You can unwind, start to take the other side, crawling those right fingertips out to the right, maybe bending into that elbow a bit as we lift the left arm up overhead. Beautiful. One more inhale. Exhale, left hand to right knee, it's like twister. Left hand to right knee, right hand behind our low back as we twist to the opposite direction, looking to the back of the room over our right shoulder. I had a teacher once say, imagine in this position that your spine is like a spiral staircase, just like wrapping up from your tailbone all the way to like the base of your skull. I was like, oh, that's such a good image. It sounds so good. So maybe we picture that for this last little breath here. And then exhale, we can release, come through center. You guys did so well. Again, amazing effort. Keep showing up, keep giving it your best, and then totally let it go. However this went for you, however hard or challenging or whatever you looked like in these positions, just letting it go and know that your effort was more than enough, and you'll just keep getting better and better with time. So thank you so much for your practice today, and namaste to all of you. See you soon.